In this video, we're going to show you to install the starter on your Toyota Camry located on the side of your engine. Use a 12mm wrench to loosen the bolt on the terminal. Go ahead and give that a wiggle, pull it off and set it aside. Using a 10mm wrench, we're going to go ahead and loosen the terminal on the positive side here. Spin that off. Just set that aside. Use a 10mm socket to go ahead and loosen and remove the nuts. And these nuts are attached to J-hooks. So there is the bottom portion here that locks into the bottom of the tray there. Go ahead and set that aside. Do the same for the other side. Go ahead and grab that battery, lift it up, and set that aside. On the front side of our starter, we have a 12mm nut right here we need to loosen and remove. I'm going to use my deep socket and ratchet. Now remove that nut, set that aside, and then we can grab that harness and pull that off of the starter. And once we have that connector separated, there is a connector right on the top here. You want to press in on this little tab here and separate that. With these two loosened out of the way, we can go ahead and access the two bolts holding the starter to the side of the transmission. Now there are two 14mm bolts holding the starter. There's one down right here. We're going to go ahead and use our deep socket with an extension and our ratchet. Remove that bolt. Now right down behind your transmission dipstick is the second bolt. We're going to use our swivel head ratchet and our 14mm deep socket. And once you have that bolt out a little bit, it should spin out fairly easy, so I just kind of grab that socket and spin it out the rest of the way. Remove that bolt. Should be able to wiggle the starter. Out. Work this cable out and just kind of slide that over. And then we can pivot that starter up, wiggle it up and out. Lower the starter down. We're just going to feed that gear and snout into our transmission. I'm going to get that front bolt started. So one hand, just kind of grab that starter and kind of wiggle it around, kind of twist it around inside the transmission so you can get that hole to line up. Now I have that forward bolt started. If you can, thread it in as far as you can. I can can get that bolt in almost all the way, and then get our rear bolt started. And we'll thread that in as far as you can by hand. But once you have that caught a few threads, you can put your ratchet on there and zip it right in. And snug down that front bolt. Good, snug that down. All right, let's now go ahead and torque those. Let's go ahead and torque these two bolts down to 31 foot-pounds. While we're here, I'm going to pop this cable back into position. Here we go. Now feed your wires back behind the transmission dipstick. We have the electrical connector on the top. Just going to line that up and push that on. You're going to feel and hear it snap into place. Then we have the main power wire to that starter right there. Slip that on. Once we have that wire in place, you're going to install the washer and the nut. Spin that nut down as far as you can. And then we'll snug that down. All right. You want to make sure that's good and snug on there. So once you feel that bottom out, give it a little bit more. Make sure this little tab is folded down. And slide your airbox down and into place. Once we have that in place, we can go ahead and snap the clips onto the airbox. On the back side of the air intake tube, connect that vacuum hose to that port. Tighten down the air intake tube clamp. You just want to make sure that's good and snug. Give that a tug. That's not going anywhere. Install the 10mm bolt here. Snug that down. After we have this secured, we can now install our battery. Go ahead and take your battery, drop that down into the battery tray. Make sure that the positive side is inboard. Now the J-hook part actually goes down and goes into a hole on the side of the tray. And slide this here. I'm going to run this nut down. The bottom of this here goes into a hole on the side of the frame. Now at this point here, you just want to go ahead and gently snug this. You don't want to over tighten it. You can crush the top of the battery. So just gently snug them. Give that battery a little wiggle, make sure it doesn't move around. Now we can go ahead and install our terminals. Go ahead and grab that positive terminal, slide that down into place. Go ahead and snug that down. Then once you feel that nut bottom out, just give it a little bit more. You want to make sure that's snug and then try and twist this. You can see that our terminal is still spinning, so continue to tighten that down. Give it a wiggle again. It's tight. Install the ground terminal, twist that down. Going to tighten down the nut. Now once this nut bottoms out, you want to give it a little bit more. You want to make sure it's good and snug, but you don't want to over tighten it. You can damage the terminal end if you over tighten it. So snug that down, give this a wiggle, make sure it doesn't twist on that post. If it does twist, go ahead and tighten this down a little bit more and then check it again. Ours is good, we're all set.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.